My first upload for today is with regard to the matter of mental health and the assistance to human rights abuses and the assistance to constitutional offences and the issue that it plays for mental health and the role of hate crime. Now, there's been many and much research done on the role of mental health in the field of psychology and psychoanalysis and such, with particular interest and particular importance for those that perpetrate hate crime. Now, the matter I'm raising in today's short, brief upload is the tactic of individuals that I am confronted with that have been trespassing upon me, intruding upon me, relaying disinformation, relaying absolute falsehoods regarding the circumstances of my condition and my reality. My reality is that I'm in a one-bedroom apartment. I live on my own. I'm a married mother. My child has been unlawfully withheld from me. I receive minimal support. I have suffered medical negligence, slander, defamation, obstacles, societal obstacles. I've not received any support from the state agencies. I've not received acknowledgement from the government. My entitlements that are an obligation for them to be fulfilled have not been fulfilled. So basically, I'm living on this much when my past experience was vast. I had a very productive life, very busy, very accomplished, and the issue I'm raising is how these individuals of hate crime, culprits of offences against my son and I, that have put blockage in our ways from having a happy upbringing or a productive life, have decided to socially isolate and withhold information since 2017. They have trespassed into private property, as I've mentioned, which is very serious, and they have incessantly trespassed upon me and intruded upon me, and they have spun a tale out of control. And these people are of slander, and they have been reported to the Mental Health Commission. Now, they have been at fault since 2017. Now, I am a teacher. I have a clean track record. I have been a successful teacher. I'm also of sanity and sobriety for the past 15, 16 years. And I'm experiencing new people's developments and their audacity when perverting my privacy and making very slanderous commentaries and relaying these to third parties, which are a breach of confidentiality and a perversion of procedures. Now, I find that quite disturbing when these kind of people have the audacity to step into another person's life after causing so much damage, harm and loss already so far in the past, to continue the cycle. That's the neuroses of the mind, and that they have even not only provided slanderous disinformation, they have also been of a falsehood that is quite serious for many other than just me. So they've compromised other people's positions and credibility. And when an ombudsman procedure is commenced, as I have commenced mine in 2017, there are stages in that procedure that are to be fulfilled. That has been completely ignored in this circumstance to accommodate individuals that are guilty of very dangerous offences against the state. Now, this is what I'm tolerating on a day-to-day basis, living on minimal, and I'm a qualified professional teacher. And as I've said, I've laid the positive foundations for recovery since 2018, which have saved many people's lives in recovery, and which has retrieved a lot of sustenance and revivification for other people's lives. And to be dealt a dirty card and to be presented with people suffering from a superiority complex while not confronting the reality, and while they're assisting a neurosis of the mind of these guilty culprits that are obstructing my progress as a mother, I consider that very serious for the relevant bodies to be ignoring. Now, as I've mentioned also, there's the role of the agencies to fulfill their obligations. I've already confronted that point. But the main point is the issue of the mental health of these people. Now, this community has only had a recent transformation of reform. There are people in the community that have been very guilty of very dangerous offences, and only in the past year or two, they are reformed. Now, the behaviours I've witnessed and that I've confronted are incidents of offence that are offences against the state, and they have not been addressed. And the offences that my child has experienced, they're also offences against the state. So the point I'm making is, these newly reformed individuals, newly transformed, that are actually not to the same calibre of recovery as a 10-year qualified recovery advocate would be. And for those kind of people that are newly reformed to be continuing the cycle and damaging a woman's livelihood as a property owner, as a mother, as a teacher, as a wife, and for them to incessantly intrude upon a personal space is a highly huge insult. It's a huge insult to the Human Rights Declaration and to the profession that they represent. So these people are using not only modification in their personalities with regard to their spiritual progress or their human personal progress, while obstructing my family life and while negotiating matters that they really have no control over and laying claim to matters that they have no right to be discussing. The matter of people using spiritual to affect the mental health of people that they have damaged and that they owe debts to is very dangerous. So it's interesting in the field of psychology and psychoanalysis how these people try to induce mental illness to achieve their goals and objectives, and how these people unaddressed in society as liabilities to people's lives as they have been, reformed newly or not, is a very big failing for the professions that are to actually authentically address their shortcomings, their failings and their defects of character. So the very issue that I'm in an environment that is highly unsuitable and that the relevant bodies haven't addressed these conditions as unsuitable, and as these illegalities since 2017 are still being perpetrated, it doesn't represent the profession of these characters very positively. The issue of the spiritual and those people that have been evolved and ascending and of attainment and of progress and evolution, these people espousing one perspective but really disrespecting the original authenticity of the situation, causing problems to a person's physical surroundings, interrupting people's processes like showering, eating, sleeping, drinking, smoking, discussing a person's personal space, not living with a person and violating their privacy. These are all very, very insidious, intrusive offences. And it's very serious when honourability isn't present to respect integrity, honesty and dignity. And that's what the United Nations expects from human beings, from the Declaration to be respected, for the Declaration to be respected. So my point is, I'd like the Mental Health Commission and I'd like recovery advocates to address the dangers of these newly reformed liabilities in society that have caused very serious dangers to innocent life and that have escaped the dangers and damages that they've caused with wrangling, negotiating matters that they have no remit whatsoever with regard to. I'd appreciate those of academia that have discussed my personal experience as a universal light worker. I'd appreciate those of academia to be of integrity with regard to their work and the role of individuals that have jeopardized the authenticity of this experience that has happened. There have been individuals quite obsessed with acclimatizing, harmonizing, they've called it also. But at the same time, they've been disrespecting the source of what they're claiming to be harmonizing with. They've induced isolation, they've withheld information, and they have damaged the environment. Minimal, I live on minimal, while these people are sucking the life out of all that was positive from this experience before they interrupted and intruded. So the Mental Health Commission that has heard from me since 2017 with regard to practitioners that have trespassed, that have misdiagnosed. I have been misdiagnosed to facilitate culprits of hate crime. My name has been slandered. I'm a recovery advocate. I'm an angelic light worker. And I have received prescriptions for very harmful, dangerous medication. None of these matters have been addressed. They've been ignored, and I'm concerned about the mental health of that kind of an issue being ignored because it perpetuates repetition of that circumstance, and that's quite serious. So there's an obligation, there's morals, ethics, behaviour, codes of practice, etc. And these are being waylaid, and that's unfortunate, since 2017. Now, I'm aware there are changes in society since 2020, and that's all fantastic. But when a procedure is commenced in 2017, it's still a procedure in process to be acknowledged. And guilty practitioners that don't respect boundaries and that are liabilities to the profession that they represent and that damage the wider community, that's not very helpful. That's not very helpful. So the conditions I'm experiencing are very inhumane, to say the least. And the issue of individuals in my proximity that are damaging my environment in more ways than just one. My environment has been trespassed upon and it has been negatively affected, and the relevant bodies have just turned a blind eye. So I'd like to know about the tall tales. There have been tall tales and bad faith, and I'm sure everyone is fully aware of what I'm referring to in this community. Tall tales and bad faith. And an innocent mother has been kept from her child, while individuals are claiming to be harmonising. And I'm very concerned about the mental health of that issue when these people are supposed to be spiritualised. So I'd appreciate the Mental Health Commission and those of academia that have been doing dissertations of an experience that is quite phenomenal. I'd appreciate them getting their perspectives and priorities straight. And I'd appreciate everyone respecting the field of mental health and recovery and sanity and sobriety. And those individuals that are quite cheeky, I'd appreciate they'd have a bit of integrity, honesty and dignity.